Hey, this is Manga Haul number 10. I got this box from rightstuf. First I'll go through the unboxing, I'll show you everything, and then I'll do the overhead camera and go in depth about, what I'm actually reading. So far, obviously, I haven't read anything from this box yet. And it's actually been such a long time since I ordered this box, I almost forgot what I have in here. This is Volume 5 of I'm a Hero. I've been really liking this story so far. I would say it's a must-read if you like zombie apocalypse stuff. It's a little bit deeper than most things, but you should definitely give it a read. Oh, let's fish this big one. Oh, I got a Negama Omnibus. This is the first volume. So first 3 volumes in Negama. I wanted to catch back up on this series because I never finished it. But I'm actually going to work my way back from the beginning all over again and start reading it. Maybe read it fresh because it's been a very long time since I read this story. But I've read up to volumes 30 of this series, but it was a very long time ago. After reading all of Love Hina and collecting that series, I'm gonna read more of Ken Akamatsu stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, and also volume 34 of Negama. So this is probably where I need to. So I'm gonna kind of start over from both ends. I'm gonna continue reading where I left off, and then catch up, so I can remember actually who all these characters are. So front, back. You can definitely tell that the characters have aged quite a lot. And a good amount of time actually takes place during this story. And I think that definitely happens as the story matured, it knew its audience. And I appreciate that when a story adjusts to its audience. It's usually always a good thing that, they make adjustments and stuff. As long as usually if that comes towards your age, usually it's a better thing. And sometimes it can go away from your age, you can get younger. But most of the time I see characters get older over time because, it's kind of natural. Draw your characters older as you draw them. Because, they're progressing in the story, they're progressing in age in the story. Made in Abyss Volume 1, this is the actual Volume 1. It's in the plastic yet. I got a couple anthology books, and I thought that was like how the story was, but I wanted to actually read the story. This is the actual story, so the anthologies are just kind of like bonus chapters that people have volunteered to make. Well, yep. Oh, I need to read this one right away. Volume 5 of Gundam and Thunderbolt. I actually breezed through Volume 4 pretty quickly, and it was a big setup to what's the next set of storylines going to be. So I'm actually really hyped to read this. And Volume 5 of Golden Camoy. This is a very good series. It's also been running for a while. I remember seeing this at ACEN in 2014. That's when this was first starting to be printed, and I'm still just catching up with it. In my head, this is still a brand new series, but I remember discovering this like 6 years ago. So this is actually, it's a pretty mature story at this point, and I have a lot of catching up to do. Volume 5 of Yusaki-chan. So I like this story quite a bit. I like how it's actually progressing. I dig the characters. It's actually pretty funny. Even my girlfriend said it looked kind of cute. So maybe I'll see if she'll want to read it or if she's interested in it. Oh yeah, this is I haven't read this yet, or I don't know much about it, but it was recommended to me. I'm gonna read it. Blue Period, Volume number 1. So I haven't started the new series in a while. Probably since I read I've read Love Hina, but I'm gonna read this series. Apparently, it's really good. I'm kind of spacing out on the premise, but I remember hearing my buddy tell me it's really good, so I'm gonna read it. So I'm going into this one blind. I'll tell you how it is. Yep, here's another Volume 31 of Negama. I think this is one I was missing. I had Volume 20. I had Volume 29, 30, and then I got 32, 33, 34, and I was missing Volume 31 the whole time. This is actually the next one I need to read. So this is actually where I left off a long time ago when my cousin actually borrowed me all that manga to begin with. And finally, oh yes, Planetaz Volume 2. So I think this is the finale of the series. There's only 2 volumes, if I had to guess. from what I know. Volume 1 was very good, and I'm really happy to finish this one up. I'm probably actually going to start reading this ASAP. I'm actually super excited to see where this goes. I think I think I think Yukimura is a genius, and he's very good at writing, and he's very good at philosophizing while he's writing. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be pretty awesome. And that's it. We'll take it over to the table and I'll read some of this quick. Show you some in-depth some of the artwork. So stick around. And here we are. I'll show you some of the art here, and maybe talk a little more in depth. First, let's just start with Negama again, since I've been thinking about this series a little bit more often. From what I remember, Negama is a story about this kid. He's like 10 years old. He just graduated from like wizard school, and I think it's like more of I think it's pretty much like Hogwarts. It's kind of a secret kind of thing. Like I don't think everyone on the planet knows that these people are running around. And he's assigned his first job, as you are when you graduate this school. Most people get like some kind of job that's related to being a wizard. So like one person mentions, so right here in the first page, someone mentions that, well, maybe they're going to be a fortune teller, and they get assigned a job in a place to go do it. But he's kind of confused because he has to go be a teacher. So yeah, teacher in Japan. So he has to go teach. So he's like, literally, he goes to some, either it's a high school or a university. I think it's just a high school. It's like a private school. And he has to teach English to the other, pretty much the 30 other girls in this class. He has to teach English to now. Yeah, it looks like 29 kids. So that's like the main premise. I don't remember like how the story kind of progresses from there. Like he starts teaching, but I don't know. I forget like what the details and like what kind of school it is. Like, do people like know about like the wizardry stuff and or whatever? Like, I kind of forget like the details of what happens. I remember like someone attacks the school, and there's a big story arc there with a bunch of action and stuff. It mixes kind of a harem rom-com with shonen fantasy action. So in the beginning, like all the girls are kind of just normal, and they don't really do any of the fighting or anything like that. I don't know how like it gets into that. I don't know. You learn more about the girls, and they're actually more capable than they seem, I think, as the story progresses. But by the end of the series, they're all fighting, and they're all like really combat capable. It's pretty well developed actually. So I mean, after 30 some volumes, I think this whole series is like 38 in total. Pretty much everyone's like pretty powerful. Like it develops pretty nicely, and we can see how maybe some of the artwork eventually changes, gets really more fantastical. Another thing is that it's not just fantasy, it's sci-fi, and it's a little bit of everything that Ken Akamatsu writes into the story. So obviously if there's wizards, there's going to be magic. There's also cyborgs, time travel. They go to Mars. It's got all it's pretty much got everything, and it's got sci-fi, fantasy, action, romance. It's like, I kind of noticed this when I was reading Lavina, that Ken Akamatsu just kind of likes throwing everything into his stories. And, it's a really good way to keeping everything from being boring at all, ever. And it takes a very long time to develop like 30 characters like that, because you have main character, you got some of the side characters, you have all the girls in the class, and there's 29 of them. And I remember I was reading like volume 30-ish something up, and like they were fighting, and then like someone stepped in and like interrupted the fight, and they're like, "Who is that?" And it was like the other girl in the class we've like barely been introduced to, and it was volume 30 at the time. So like even by volume 30 or 29 by that time, like you weren't even introduced to all the characters in the class, which is pretty nuts. It took literally the entire length of the story to get introduced to everybody in this story, and it turns out more characters have a lot of story depth into it. And another thing, when you're reading this, there's a lot of dialogue. It's like pretty much any other Ken Akamatsu story. It's some of the most dense manga out of, especially for how long it is. It takes a very long time to read through all, especially if you're like me and you kind of read slowly. I like to read at a normal pace, observe what's going on, make sure I have a comprehension of what's happening. I don't speed read stuff like if it's like how some people read regular novels really fast. I don't do that. And it can take a very long time to read some of these. And I was trying to figure out how long ago it was that I read this story for the first time. My cousin gave me the box full of everything from volume 1 to 30, like maybe 30, 31. I think I've read this one before already. I can't say it like seems familiar to me, but I'm pretty sure I've read this part. So he left me the box. He gave it to me. I read it. I read I read the whole thing back to back to back, all the way through, and I'm trying to remember how long ago that was, and I think I realized that he gave me that box full of manga at like my second cousin's first birthday, something like that, and I just realized that he just had his birthday again recently, and he's 12 years old, so that's how long ago I think I've read this manga. It was at least 10 years ago. So even at the time, I think Negama, the main character, he's 10, and I think at the time I definitely maybe identified more with the schoolgirl characters because they're older than him. So that's kind of if I reread the story, I kind of want to see how my perspective changes at all, see if that makes a difference, if I get over that, or if it shouldn't really make a big difference. But since I've already read it, I already kind of know these characters. But we'll see what happens. One of the details, there's a lot of stuff going on in this whole series, but one of the details, remember, is that Negama, as he powers up, as he fights and trains to get stronger, he does it in like a quick and dirty way. He knows he's basically like using the dark side, and he uses like these lightning shadow powers and stuff. And it's either dangerous to his body, or for whatever reason, it's like not a kosher way to get more powerful. It's pretty much like he's fighting fire with fire. He's fighting the bad guys with bad juju magic. That was definitely one of the more interesting parts of the series I remember reading, and obviously all the pretty much deep character interactions between the side characters, like this guy, whichever, usually 2 or 3 characters you see that usually pair up with people that make sure people have consistent storylines of who goes off and does what with who. So it's pretty interesting. I like it a lot. These faces are all familiar, but I don't remember. I don't know. I'm already terrible with names, let alone stuff I read 10 years ago. But this is bringing back some memories. It's really cool. And after if I do read all this again, I'll be in the perfect spot to continue reading UQ Holder, which I've been trying to read also, which is the series that comes after this. But that's probably enough for Negama right now. And then next we'll go into I'm a Hero Volume 5. From what I remember of Volume 4, it was very climactic. He was with that one group on the rooftop, and all that kind of got shaked out. There's a lot of combat, a lot of fighting there. He was kind of getting involved, in a hostile manner, kind of with both the guys he was kind of camping out with and the zombies that were attacking him, so he kind of skedaddled from there. Now I think this is definitely a setup to another little storyline, so whatever's happening next is going to have a little bit of build up here. We'll see what happens. I don't want to flip through this too much because I don't know, I haven't read this yet. But overall, this story is really good, and I think I'm catching up with it, finishing up, so I don't know how many volumes there are, but I mean, five omnibuses, that's like volume 15 by now already, so I'm a good chunk into this, and I'm wondering how far it's going to go. But I'm looking forward to it. It's really good. It's really solid. I think anyone that likes zombie stuff should pick it up. I said that a dozen times already, but it's really good. I really like the artwork. The zombies are scary. They're like fast, shambling zombies. You can see how like their bodies degrade, but they still move really fast. Kind of like, if it was I think that's almost realistic for zombies because they won't be able to feel their bodies not working. They just like move in frantic ways no matter what. So they might be at 110% all the time, regardless of their condition of the body. So that's kind of my justification for fast zombies. But this is pretty interesting. And I think if you're into if you wanted to read a zombie story, I think this would definitely be one to get, regardless if you read manga or not. I think there is a live action version of this, but I haven't really seen too much of that yet. But maybe that'd be worth checking out too. But this whole thing is just really good. Sakachan number 5. I actually want to read this quick. Usually I read these pretty quickly. Doesn't take so long. I maybe should actually breeze through the 4th volume and just kind of remember where things are at. I think they started going on pseudo dates, like they just kind of hang out more often, but they don't. They're definitely not dating yet, though. These guys are scheming in the background, trying to hook them up and stuff like that. But those misconceptions are where a lot of the humor comes from, which is pretty funny. So it seems like the author, his style is kind of like every chapter or so, kind of picking just kind of a thing that they go and do. It's already established that the main character kind of works out already, but it seems like it's like, oh, gotta go to the gym, free coupon, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of like, hey, what are they doing this week? You know, it's the kind of usually stuff that keep things interesting. And usually at some point, I'm almost for certain that, you know, he's just at the gym and he's getting trained right here, and there's going to be some kind of misconception here, or he's going to get, you know, laughed at or something. Oh, there it is. Yep, I found it. Yeah. So he's at this gym training, and the dude training him is Uzaki-chan's dad, apparently. So yep, there we go. That's the goofy shenanigans that's going to happen. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, obviously, you know, stuff happens, and there's always like some kind of loop, something loops him back that makes a joke out of it, or something kind of, you know, kind of your typical like almost a sitcom kind of situation where the everything's there for a reason for the punchline, so it's all in there. Well, yeah, very good story. Like I said before, I really want to just make sure the character relationships keep progressing. If it drags on, then it gets really hard to like justify buying the next volume. So we'll see how that goes. And I still got this in the plastic, so I haven't taken this out yet. But Main Abyss, it looks really interesting. I think I've watched a little bit of the anime, and then I wanted to, you know, pick up the manga too. Maybe at the same time, I'll probably read them simultaneously. Read and watch it simultaneously, just to kind of see, you know, the differences, and, you know, not to always just jump on the bandwagon of when the anime gets popular. Then you know, jump on the anime, and then most people don't read manga that much. So this is kind of something interesting to read, especially something that's really good, like fantasy concept like that. And apparently it can be really dark, so I kind of like where stuff can come out of left field like that, where it looks like, you know, young characters, kind of innocent looking characters, a cool premise, and then stuff gets really messed up. That juxtaposition is kind of usually interesting, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure plenty of people are telling me right now, trying to tell me, watching this video, that, oh yeah, you should definitely read this, definitely go watch it, it's really awesome, it's really good, it's a masterpiece, yada yada. So yeah, I'm jumping into it. I'm usually late to stuff. I think one thing I want to do for this channel is I definitely in the future want to keep up with new stuff. And that way I'm, you know, just, you know, so my content is a little more relevant with what's going on currently. Maybe I'll try that out. Let me know what I should read, if I should catch up on something that is new for this year, or what's coming out soon. So yeah, let me know. And Volume 5, Gundam Thunderbolt. Yeah, another thing where I'm reading the manga, and my buddy who's really into Gundam, he hears people on the internet talk about, like, why would you read the manga when, you know, the music, thematical music stuff is so prevalent. Like, you know, in the anime, it's obviously going to have actual music instead of just lyrics or whatever, like, stuff that, you know, because it's really hard to do music in manga, of course. And the only thing I ever struggle with this manga is sometimes from panel to panel, page to page, it's hard to comprehend what's happening, because usually stuff jumps in a way that's a little bit confusing. I don't know exactly who's who, what's what, because there'll be a lot of times they'll show a battle from both sides, and you're constantly trying to remember yourself, like, oh, which side is this happening to? What's going on exactly? Wait, where'd this ship come from? If you're not paying attention, you gotta make sure you see what's going on. Because I see this ship here, and I see this ship, and I know it's not the same ship, and then I see this happening, and well, what's exactly who's getting shot at here? So stuff like that. I have a hard time keeping track of stuff. That's probably mostly my fault, but obviously if I watch the anime, that, you know, that would pretty much mostly not be an issue at all. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get to this part, whatever battle that they're setting up for Operation Thunderbolt. I'll finish that, and I'll go, and maybe I'll try finding the anime out there and catching up to where I am in the manga, and seeing which one I like more, or whatever, you know, see how it is. But overall, Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt's really good. I like it a lot. As someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with Gundam, this is probably actually a really good introductory point, because it does apparently take place earlier in the timeline. And I like the characters, and it really has the great, you know, has really great anti-war thematic stuff that's going on, but the characters are constantly throwing themselves back into the fight because they kind of don't know what else to do. You know, it's kind of like soldiers from any era who continuously volunteer to go back for more tours, even though that, you know, they'll say it's the worst days of their lives, but they go out there for more tours. So we kind of get that theme in here, that, you know, post PTSD, you know, everything that a good anti-war story will have is in this series of Gundam, and that's what Gundam actually is really good at in general. And this is particularly good for a Gundam story at doing that. Of course, I haven't read some of the earlier stuff. I think that stuff is prevalent in like the first anime series and the first manga, of course, too. But I have less experience with that. So there's other There's other Gundam anime I want to watch, especially after reading this. But that's pretty much it. I'll read this. I'll tell you what I think about it. And like I said before, I was actually recommended by my same friend that I like, the same friend that likes Mobile Suit Gundam. He recommended me to read this, and it looks really interesting. I really like the idea that these characters are gonna like use art and painting as their like emotional outlets for the story, and it seems really interesting. I don't know how like if the characters are competing in anything or any way, or like what's the conflict of the story, but I think there's a in some of the promotional stuff or some of what I saw from other um, book covers is that like this character is like crying and he's like painting a big piece of paint across the image, and it seems really emotional. And I kind of want to, I kind of can't wait to see what the story is behind that. So we'll get there. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, you know, other than the bare bones premise of that it's a manga about painting. But we'll see, how it goes, what it's about. And I just, just poking through here. I think the art for the cover is really good. I think this would be obviously, it would be an excellent manga for cover pages, or an excellent manga for color pages. So then something like this, the more color pages, the better. Hopefully it has a few. Hopefully, let's see. Right? No, maybe it's every so often. Maybe, probably not as often as you hope, but I think this would a really good series for that. Yeah, I don't know what the story's about. I don't know the characters, what they're doing, but the artwork looks pretty good, especially when you see some of the paintings here. It's kind of your typical sketch style stuff. I wonder if it's going to get into stuff like art theory, it's history, or I don't know what the story's going to be about. What it's going to be like. But we'll get there. We'll try it out. It should be pretty awesome. So I'll let you know. Yep, Golden Camoy, Volume 5. Like I said before, this series has a lot in it right now, and I've been trying to read this since it came out. Not very well because I'm only in Volume 5 after like 6 years of this being out. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try mainline this story so I can catch up. And I think it has at least 20 plus volumes already. It's a long story at this point. And I really want to get into it more. So I think its relevance is important that it should be caught up on. So yeah, the action and the survival and the cooking and the food. And as a hunter myself, and it's hunting season right now, like this is a really awesome story to read. Plus, obviously the cultural stuff you get out of it, and there's two distinct cultures in this story. So we got the northern Japanese kind of native people, and the more southern, mostly from the perspective of these soldiers, but the more, mainland Japanese type people. So seeing the people, like those people mix their cultures together is really cool. Cat and mouse chase, we got this dude, he's a military officer getting after these guys. They're going after the same treasure. So like we're still in like phase 1 where they're still trying to like collect the map to the treasure, and we don't really know what the treasure is, but apparently it's a lot of gold. It's a lot of money. But don't know yet. It could be anything. So that's kind of it seems like something almost like in Metal Gear Solid 3, where it's the Philosopher's Legacy, something just this huge sum of money sitting out somewhere that's up for grabs or something like that. That's kind of what my take on it is. We'll see what happens. Really good story. You should read it. It's up there. If there's anything current that should be kept on, it's probably this. So I'll keep you posted. Here's Planetaz Volume 2. Like I said before, Yukimura is like a master at writing and putting themes in the story. And, it's like a story. These guys are in space and, picking up space junk, or they're training for a mission. And, it's kind of like, okay, there's some terrorist bad guys. But, like, what's the purpose of the story? And when you read it, you'll know that it's all this, like, really deep stuff that's motivating the characters. And they're their conflicts with each other and their different viewpoints. That really drives the story here. And I think being a shorter story, if this is all there is to it, I think this is the final. Then it's a really solid, quicker. You can read this in a week between both volumes, and it's, in my opinion, super worth it. So just go and pick them up and read it because you'll know what I'm talking about. How great this is. And then when you read this, if you want more of it, then you can go read Vinland Saga, which is very similar, more action-packed, but kind of similar themes, because in this you have space dudes going on long voyages and going places, and in Vinland Saga you have Viking guys, and they're also sailors too. So the people in this, they're spacemen, astronauts, but they almost call themselves sailors too, because it's kind of the same thematical thing, traveling from one place to the other without necessarily having a permanent home anywhere. So that's kind of the getting into that mindset, and that kind of living is kind of the core aspect of the story. In a similar way, you could portray that, and I don't think they go down that route as much in Vinland Saga, but there's similar themes here. This is a masterpiece for sure, especially that it's finished. It was kind of nice that I was able to pick this up and read in the meantime, because I've been waiting for over a year for the latest volume of Vinland Saga to come out, and it should be coming out really soon, so I'll be able to reread that. And I think when I get that latest volume of Vinland Saga, I'm going to go back and reread all of Vinland Saga, so that way I have something to do in the meantime when I'm waiting for the next volume to come out. But since it's been like a year or two since the last volume came out, hopefully the next one is a quicker turnaround. So we'll see. Who knows? Hopefully the next volume I don't have to wait a full year again or more. But we'll see. Vinland Saga is really good. Planetaz is really good. You should read them both. Anything in here right now that you should read is probably Planetaz, because you can read it quickly. So we got this book and the other one, and that should be all there is to it. I'll give my recommendation on Blue Period if it's great, and if it's worth it. I think I can see the potential. It's not not a bland story. It's not overly done like other stuff I've read before, where I've seen 1,000 times before. So good promise here. Golden Camoy is something you should read right away. Negama is good if you want a fantasy action rom-com harem style story, but some people are gonna bitch and complain about like stuff they're not into, and I don't really care because I read a lot of stuff. And so as long as it's entertaining, as long as it's got something worth thinking about, and it does touch on that thematically stuff. It's mostly a good and evil story. Nothing super deep, but it's good. And Mobile Suit Gundam, anti-war themes. That's all the thematics are there. I mean, Abyss. I'm not super knowledgeable, but the dark themes in here could be there too. I'm a Hero is has a lot of stuff in the background on top of it just being a zombie story. And Zaki-chan's probably the most shallow-ish read here. It's mostly just a funny rom-com, nothing super deep in there. If you're like me and you want to have some deeper meaning in what you're reading, it's a little bit more surface level, a bit more casual read, but that's not bad either. You don't want to have all this heavy stuff to read all the time, and sometimes you just want to be able to breeze through a smaller, thinner book that's just kind of made to be funny. It's not terrible. And Negama is really good. And like I said before, it's a lot of book. That's a lot of manga to read. Like 38 volumes of really dense stuff. Like there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of dialogue. Like there's a lot of stuff happening in every panel of every page. It's just a lot of stuff going on. And Ken Akamatsu is really good at having rising and falling action in every one of those chapters. So there's it's a deep story. So this whole set is actually a really good combination of stuff to read. But when I finish it, I'll let you know what I think about everything. So have a good day. See you guys later next time. Find my other content, and if you go to my channel page, you'll be able to see my other channels too that I have. So check all my stuff out. It's really cool. See you guys later. Thanks.